Welcome back, Sunshines, and in today's video, I'm going to be ranking a huge variety of art supplies. I'm going to be given all of my opinions, all of my thoughts on these different art supplies, so you guys can get kind of a gauge on what supplies I personally like, and maybe it can help you pick up some new supplies that you might not have wanted to use before. So these are the different categories we have for the supplies. We have The Gods Could Not Pry This From My Hands, goated. We have,
hey, that's pretty good.
We have B tier.
I mean, it's alright, like.
We have C tier, which is just dog water. It's really not that good. We also have D tier, which is throw this into the flames of hell. Jesus, it's dog shit. And then we also just have an extra category if I haven't actually used the supply. Okay, the first thing we have here are fabric paints. Honestly, if you're wanting to paint on some kind of fabric, they're fine. I would say don't get a cheap fabric paint. Get something that's all right quality or an actually like expensive fabric paint. It does actually turn into a really hard like material on your fabric, so it's kind of weird, but I don't know, it's fun to kind of like customize your clothes. So we'll put it in it's all right. A cheap ass ballpoint pen. I'm pretty sure all of us artists at some point have used this in one of our classes in school to just like doodle an eyeball or something. Honestly, they can be really fun to use, but if you're not using them on the right paper, they can be kind of annoying. So honestly, I'll just put it there. I think that's fine. So I actually included papers and like surfaces and stuff that you create on in this list. So we have just mixed media paper in general. Honestly, there are some mixed media papers that are really good and fun to draw on, but there are also some mixed media papers that are like really weird. I think this, again, has to go in B tier. It's not that great. It's okay. Next, we have charcoal pencils. I actually took a class that had charcoal and charcoal like pencils and stuff. I'm gonna say this much, I don't really like charcoal, even though I took a class using it and I've made some really good drawings with it. I just think they're not that great. They're kind of dog water, honestly. I'd rather be using graphite or something that's easier to erase. I don't know. It's kind of funky. I don't know what to really say about it, so it's going in C tier. This is a really, really nice drafting mechanical pencil. So I use like these different types of pencils sometimes. They're really nice. I like my mechanical pencils, honestly. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want a traditional pencil when drawing, but mechanical pencils for me personally, I like how sharp they can be and you don't have to sit and sharpen them. So they're really nice, especially if you get very nice drafting pencils. Kneaded erasers. These are the goats of erasers, honestly. They're so nice for like lifting up the graphite a little bit to like make your drawing lighter, or just kind of like getting into all of those little fine details. I love them. They're not that great because they're so sticky and they can get so much hair in them sometimes. Workable fixative. So I use workable fixative on my oil paintings to preserve the pencils like sketch. It's fine. It smells though, and it sometimes like it just needs to calm down. It needs to calm down, honestly. Tempera paints. I haven't used tempera paint in a very, very long time, but I can tell you this much, it's not that great. It's not that great. I would not be able to really create anything from tempera paint, honestly. It is really for like kindergartners, like projects and stuff. It's really not that good. We've got another good one here. These are the really cheap ass plastic paint brushes for like watercolors and like kids crafts. I despised these paintbrushes even when I was a kid. I thought they were garbage, so no, throw it into the flames of hell. I hate them. Good expensive paintbrushes, just general paintbrushes, nothing cheap. Obviously, S tier. You're gonna have to pry my paintbrushes from my hands in order to get them from me. I love paintbrushes, especially if you get some nice ones. Even like the cheaper paintbrushes for artists, they can be good. They can honestly be good. So I love me some paintbrushes. Glass paints. So this is paint for specifically painting on glass. I've only used glass paint a couple of times, and every time it's like so weird to paint on the glass with. It's like too clear. You have to like have multiple coats, and it's just kind of funky. It's okay if you want to paint on glass, but at the same time, I'd probably recommend getting an expensive like glass paint, because if you get the cheap shit, it's not going to work. Crayola markers, honest to God, they are fine. They're all right. They are fun to actually use if you just want to do a little doodle or something, or you just want cheap supplies. They're honestly not that bad. Next we have gesso. I like gesso a lot because I'm obviously gessoing like my canvases and boards before I'm painting. I think it's really important to do. So honestly, we'll put that in 8 tier. Newsprint paper. So I have a huge pad of newsprint. I don't like it. I think that it's really annoying. It's too thin. It like rips too easily. And it's not that fun to draw on, honestly. So yeah, no, it is going in C tier. And honestly, having such a big pad of like paper is so inconvenient if we're talking about the giant pads of newsprint. Just not that great. Wood panels for painting. I actually have not used these like in particular. I've used like the blocks of like wood or whatever that are like in different shapes, but these panels in particular I haven't actually used, so I can't really say anything about them. Soft pastels, I actually have not touched soft pastels either. I think they look really interesting, but I feel like personally for me, they would be way too messy and I wouldn't be able to get the detail that I wanted because I'm such a detail-oriented person. This type of charcoal, I'm sorry, throw it into the flames of hell. I don't like this type of charcoal. It is so frustrating to work with because it's so chunky. You can't get any detail. You're like making a huge mess all over your paper. It's like, please just give me a pencil. This is so annoying. No, thank you. Copic markers. So I used to be a Copic marker girly before I really started getting into digital artwork and other mediums. It's not bad. I like Copic markers. I think they can be really fun. They can make some really, really good drawings. Also, I've got hair. I think Copic markers are fine. The one complaint I do have about them is why in the hell are they so expensive? Why are they so expensive? Because I don't think that the quality they are even at, they need to be that expensive, or like the packs of them need to be that expensive. I just think it's kind of dumb. So beyond me. Okay, next we have jelly gouache. I have made some pretty good paintings from jelly gouache before, but to be completely honest with you, jelly gouache, like the cups dry out so fast and you can't like mix them up. Like again, they like just chunk up and it's really annoying to try to mix, and it's like just such an inconvenience. Just get the tubes of gouache, honestly, at that point, and invest in it. It's a good starting point for like if you want to get into gouache, but at the same time, I just feel like they look really cute aesthetically, but don't really last that long, you know, in the long run. So we're gonna put it in dog water. Crayons. And yes, I say it, crayons. I think crayons are okay. They're not that great, honestly. I think they're fun to play with, but if I was to ever make a legitimate drawing with them, I feel like I'd have a really, really hard time with them. So we'll just put it in, they're all right. They're not horrible, but at the same time, they're not my favorite. Maybe we should just put it in dog water, honestly. Sharpies. Okay, so I do use Sharpies to just like write my signature, but if I was to make an actual piece of artwork with freaking Sharpies, no. I like doodling with them though. I will say that much. They're okay. We'll put them in C tier. watercolor paper in general. So depending on what type of watercolor paper you can get some really, really fine, nice watercolor paper. But then on the other spectrum is you can get really shitty watercolor paper. I think if we're just talking in general, I have made a lot of paintings on watercolor paper. So honestly, it's pretty good. I put this on here because I have actually made drawings and things like that on printer paper. Printer paper is okay if you're like a kid or you're just like wanting to just randomly draw something or you want to sketch on it. And also if you're a beginner, but to like do an actual drawing on printer paper is just not, it's not it. No, we're putting that in D tier. Absolutely not. All right, next we have like these type of erasers. I like them. I think the eraser quality is fine, at least on the one I have. They're really fun. I like clicking them all the time and messing with them. So honestly, they're pretty good. Okay, next we have inks in general. I don't really like ink because it is really fast drying from at least the inks that I have used. And they're so permanent, you can't like move them at all. I can see how that could be a benefit to some artists, but for me personally, I don't really like them. So honestly, we're gonna put them here. I have used them for like backgrounds of paintings before, but I've just never really used them that much to where I feel like they're really good. I've always just found them very annoying. Next we have fine liner pens. I used to use these a lot with like Copics and watercolor paintings, but I don't really use those mediums as much anymore. But when I was using fine liners and stuff for like just drawings in general, they're fine. They're not that great, I would say. So we'll put it there. Next we have scratch boards. So you know those like little like sticks in like the black like scratchy paper and stuff you do like as a kid, I guess. Honestly, they're fun, but as a legitimate like, I don't know, supply or medium, they're kind of not that great. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't use these professionally as an artist, so yeah, we'll just put it there. It's not that good, honestly. It's going there. All right, next we have very cheap colored pencils. I don't remember the last time I've used these type of colored pencils, but they're always like really chalky or like waxy. There you go, waxy. They're very waxy. Not that great, honestly. We're gonna put it in D tier. I don't really like them. Very expensive watercolors, though. These are the schmecke or schmink, whatever kind of watercolors they are. They're very expensive. I actually have these watercolors. They're okay. They're nice. I actually do like my Suckkk watercolor set that I have more. I do use these. They're fine. They're pretty good. They're not S tier for me, surprisingly, despite them being so freaking expensive, but I don't know. They're fine. They're good. I like them. These types of gum erasers, I'm gonna tell you this much, I hate these things. They do not erase very effectively, and they just feel terrible like when you're trying to erase anything. I've discovered that they like crumble over time and they're just like really shitty in the long run. So they're going in D tier. Get out of here. Oil pastels. So I actually bought myself a set of oil pastels this past year, and they're fine. They're good. I think they're fun to use. Try to kind of experiment with how you use them and stuff. They're fine. I used to hate them, but honestly, they're okay. Spray paints. So I actually used to do a lot of spray painting in high school, like that, like planet spray painting stuff. I used to try to do that, and I actually really like the smell of spray paint. That's probably not that great for me, but I don't use spray paint anymore. I probably would never pick up spray paint anymore. So we'll just put it in C tier. Or actually, you know what? We'll put it in B tier. They're fine. They're not horrible. They're great for like, if you want to spray something like a different color or whatever, they're totally fine. They're not horrible. They're not super great. This type of charcoal, so this is like willow or stick charcoal. I hate this type of charcoal. It's immediately going in D tier. It breaks all of the time. You have to be so gentle with it. It's messy. It gets all over your hands. I hate this type of charcoal. Again, give me a pencil. Why does this even exist? I don't know. Wood slices for like painting on or wood burning. So depending on the type of wood you get, it can be really, really nice, or on the other hand, it can be really rough. How the people like cut it, it can end up being like really textured and weird. So it's all right. They're fun, but at the same time, it can be really annoying to paint on this type of wood. Canvas paper. I actually really like canvas paper because I do a lot of my Posca pen drawings on them. I haven't used any kind of canvas paper in a long time, but it's okay. It's not horrible. Okay, so this is like the water-based markers, so not the alcohol markers. So I have used like the Tombow markers before, and I don't like them very much because they bleed through like most paper that I try to use them on. I can't blend them. I find them very frustrating because they eat the paper sometimes. So honestly, they're going here. I don't like them that much. Okay, we're kind of like halfway through, and so far the list is getting pretty long in D tier. All right, next we have brush pens. So I used to really like brush pens, and like especially the Pentel brush pen, but kind of at the end of the day, I find that the tips of the brushes can get frayed and like really annoying to work with, and you can make a lot of mismarks while trying to draw with them because they're super frustrating sometimes depending on how like the bristles are set and like how long they are. It's okay. Expensive gouache, or gouache that like comes in tubes. I really like gouache. I find it a little bit frustrating to work with sometimes because it dries super quick, but it is really nice to work with, honestly. Honestly, you could, yeah, gods couldn't pry this from my hands. I really like them. I think they're pretty goated. Cheap ass watercolors. So this is like the watercolors you'd use as a kid and stuff. They're obviously not that quality. You can sit and mix that shit forever and ever, and it will never get super bright. I don't know. I think they're okay, but they're definitely not that great. So we'll just put it in dog water, honestly. I'm going to rant about these types of water pens. I fucking hate these things. I hate them so much. They are going in D tier immediately. I find them so annoying. I don't understand how to use them. Whenever I have tried to use them, they are the most annoying pieces of shit on the planet. I hate them. I think they're like the worst invention for like watercolor paintings or anything else. I find them so annoying. Please just go get water. Go get water from somewhere. Get a cup of water. You don't need to use these stupid water pens. I hate them. Posca pens. I really like Posca pens, but at the same time, you can't really blend Posca pens, and sometimes, depending on the paper that you use, they can eat the paper, and a lot of the times, like, the white is not super opaque. It's, like, kind of transparent, but, hey, it's okay. I like them. I think they're fun. I got a whole bunch of colors and stuff that I'll occasionally use. Bristol paper. So I would use Bristol paper a lot with Copic markers, and I love how smooth it is for Copic markers in particular. I haven't really used it with anything else, but yeah, I like Bristol paper for markers and things like that. I think it's really nice. I think this might be an S tier, honestly, for me. So this is the graphite transfer paper that I use to like transfer sketches onto canvas or something like that, so I don't have to like redraw it. Honestly, S tier, because I use this stuff all of the time. It saves me so much time from having to sit and like sketch out everything onto another canvas and having to redraw my sketch twice. It saves me time. I like it. I'm repeating myself, but S tier. Do I have a bone to pick with these stupid ass white gel pens? I absolutely despise these stupid jelly roll pens. They don't work. They just kind of like scribble a little bit and indent your freaking paper. I hate them so much. I think they're absolute shit. I hate you. Why do I even still have these? They're shit. Get them out of here. Really nice colored pencils. So I have used some nice colored pencils, but I haven't had like a whole set of really expensive colored pencils just because I don't really understand how to use colored pencils, honestly. I will use them for little details and stuff, and they're fun to work with, but at the same time, they can be a bit frustrating and you have to like constantly sharpen them. So we'll put them right there. Watercolor pencils. So these are the pencils that are like water soluble, and every single time that I've used them, they're not that great. I guess I just haven't experimented with them enough to really justify ever using them. So yeah, they're okay. We'll just put them there. All right, sidewalk chalk. So I like doing sidewalk drawings and stuff. I've not done like the professional stuff that people sit down and like make a whole drawing or whatever. I've just done doodles every time I've used this chalk. It's okay, but like if I was to make an actual art piece with it, I just don't think I would probably do very well. I don't know. Sketchbooks. Honestly, S tier. I love my sketchbooks. I think there's a huge variety of sketchbooks I could have put on this list, but I'm just generalizing here. I love sketchbooks, even if they're cheap. I am always drawing in my sketchbook, keeping my sketchbook with me kind of thing. So I love my sketchbooks. You'd have to pry it from my cold, dead hands to ever get it away from me. Calligraphy pens. So I have used calligraphy pens and like inks a couple of times, and every time I use them, I always end up like scraping it somehow and making a big blotch of ink, and these shits are so annoying, honestly. As an artist, I find them so annoying. Maybe they're a lot better if you're like a writer or something, but every time I use an ink pen, I just want to scream a little bit because they're so finicky and annoying. The garbage truck is here. I thought he came earlier. What the world?
Get that garbage out of here!
Oil paints are S tier, baby, and they're going all the way up here. I absolutely love oil paints. I think that oil paints are my favorite medium ever now. I started taking classes last year on how to use oil paints, and now it's like the medium I'm always working in when it comes to traditional media, like painting wise. I just think they're so amazing for like blending and getting all of the different effects I like, and I just love them so much. It's everything I've always wanted acrylic paints to be, so they're top tier. I know it's not everybody's favorite medium. It's very intimidating for a lot of other people, but for me personally, my favorite. All right, so nice acrylic paints. So I have made a lot of acrylic paintings. I'm gonna just put it in, hey, that's pretty good, like at the top. I think that acrylic paints are fun to work with, but at the same time, they can be very frustrating because of how fast they can dry. They're great for projects and paintings. You just kind of have to know how to really finesse them and make them work the way that you want to. Otherwise you're probably gonna get really frustrated. All right, cheap ass mechanical pencils. So I've actually used these pencils for a really long time when it comes to sketching, and they're honestly pretty goated. I like them a lot. I know they're so cheap and just like not that great, but for some reason they make amazing drawings and sketches. Pastel paper. Surprisingly, I bought pastel paper, but I haven't used it yet, so it's gonna have to go in this tier, unfortunately. I just realized that I put this charcoal type in twice, so we're gonna just put it right there, and I'll have to get rid of it later. Varnishes, like spray varnishes, pour varnishes for different paintings. So I've only used acrylic varnish. I haven't used oil painting varnishes yet because I'm so scared I'm gonna ruin a painting by like putting varnish on it. So honestly, varnishes bring out the colors of paintings so much more. It makes them shine and look so nice and protect your work. So we're gonna put it right there. All right, solvents for oil paints. So this is really debatable. I should have actually put some different types of solvents because I don't use a lot of the toxic solvents anymore. I use a solvent-free safflower oil because I have to like paint in my room. So if I use anything else, it's like gonna have to be at an art studio. I've used like Gamsol before and stuff and turpentine, and I don't like those very much, but if it's solvent free, honestly, it's okay. I actually sometimes prefer to work with absolutely no solvents at all. We're just gonna put it in dog water. Next we have masonite or hardboard, whatever you want to call it. I think these are absolutely god tier. They are so nice for working on when it comes to oil painting. They're like the right amount of texture and smoothness to make a really good painting. And plus, they're flat, so you can go ahead and frame them if you want to. It's not like a board or a canvas that's actually like really hard to like frame. So, I love them. They're scrumptious. Cheap ass acrylic paints. So I actually have made a lot of my very old paintings with this very cheap craft like acrylic paint. It's not that great. It's really not. But I got through a lot of my early former years when it came to painting with these types of paints. We'll just put it in dog water. I would never use them now anymore, but if you're like a beginner artist and you want to get into acrylic paints, they're okay for you to like try out instead of investing in a lot of like expensive acrylic paint. Stamping. So this is just like normal stamps, like ink pads, that kind of thing. I do use these types of ink pads and stuff if I like make my own lino cut, stamp. But if I'm just to use normal stamps, I don't really use them in artwork, and I don't really use them for any of my packaging stuff. They're okay. They're not that great. Next we have canvases. So I do paint on a lot of canvases and stuff, but honestly, I want to try to move more towards like masonite boards and stuff like that. If I'm to do an acrylic painting, it's gonna go on a canvas, but sometimes the canvases I get can be a little bit loose, or if you get cheaper, like quality canvases, they can be kind of shitty. So honestly, we're just gonna put it there. It's not gonna go in S tier. Next we have lino cutting or like stamp making. So I have actually made my own stamps and stuff like that before. It's fun, but at the same time, it can be really dangerous. I actually cut my finger pretty deep on the blade when it slipped. So you have to be really careful with this, and if you're not, it can be really dangerous because you can really end up hurting yourself. So it's okay. It's not my favorite thing to do because I'm a little bit traumatized from when I stabbed myself. An iPad. So this is for like digital artwork. I have made a lot of digital artwork on my iPad, and honestly, they're very nice for like transporting around and just making some drawings on. But honestly, the program I have is Procreate, and it's not the best, honestly, comparative to like more expensive art programs. So we're just gonna go ahead and put it there. It's okay. It's not the best thing in the world, but I digress. The last thing on our list is a digital tablet. So I really do like my digital tablet that I have. It's just a really simple one. It's not actually the one with a screen display. I do have one that has a screen display, but I hate hooking it up, honestly. So I actually just bought this one. I actually just have one of these XP pen ones, and I like how simple they are, honestly, comparative to how many wires I need to hook up when it comes to like a display tablet. So I like these better. So we'll put it in S tier. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and check over the list and see if I want to really move anything. I don't know. I think I made an alright list. I don't think anything really needs to end up moving. I do like my S tier. Those are my S tier things, definitely. So yeah, this is my definitive art supply tier list. If you think I missed anything that I should end up adding to the list, please make sure to leave a comment down below, and would love to add it for you. If you want to go ahead and do this tier list yourself, I have a link in my description so you can go ahead and do that. I'd love to see how you guys rank different things. Also, please make sure to check out my Etsy shop. I have some brand new Celestial stickers that just dropped and they're available now, so go and get them. Thanks so much for watching this stupid little video, and I'll be seeing you guys next week. Bye-bye! I got a lot of stuff in D tier, but what can I say? I'm just a hater.